guys, it's Kyrie and I'm back with another video. Today I am drawing Shopkins. They seem to be very popular amongst the child demographic and a lot of my adult friends who collect things. I think they're super adorable, so I thought it would be super fun to draw a handful of them. The supplies I'm using today are Prismacolor inking pens, Rendr paper, and eventually I will be using copic markers to color these little guys in. This is going to be the first video of several. Even though there's multiple drawings on the page, I'm going to make them each a separate video. That way the video's not mega long. So I just went to the Shopkins website and sketched out a few that I thought were really cute. And there was a set of colors that I really want to try to use out of my copic set that I've never used before, and I just want to play around with how they'll look. So as you can see, I'm outlining the drawing that I made. I just made really loose sketches and I just kind of mapped out some of the details of how I wanted it to look. For the most part, I pretty much was winging the outlines because if you look at their flash animations, the actual outline is just like a solid color. They don't outline anything in black, but I really wanted to. So I tried to simulate the thick single color border with the black borders I'm making, and I wanted to make the outside of the border a thicker line than the inside detail. You will notice that some of the sections look kind of shaky and other sections look amazing. And one of the techniques that I'm trying to improve on is line confidence. In some parts of the video, you'll kind of see me making a sketching motion, which is a really big no-no if you want really solid, crisp, confident looking lines, like professional grade lines. And it's important that you draw your lines coming towards you, because the muscles in your arms and hands, your confidence and your skill is so much greater when you draw a line closer to you than away from you. You lose control and direction of where the line is going to go. And that's something that takes practice, obviously, because it's not that you can't draw outwardly, it's just not as good. And I'm guilty of doing that myself. But, if this is something that you're trying to work on, I would definitely suggest drawing towards you and finding angles that work for you, because certain angles of how you turn your hand, or maybe how you're turning your canvas or whatever medium you're working with, it can greatly change how your line's gonna look, the weight of the line, the shakiness of it, if it's gonna be solid. And if you look in certain outlines, on the flower for example, some of my outlines are shaky. The distance between the thicker outline and the skinnier one aren't evenly proportioned on each petal. And honestly, even though I see these imperfections, I really like how it's turning out, and I'm really excited to color this. I'm excited to color all of them, but I never really use greens, and this apple is a green apple, so it's gonna be interesting how it turns out. But my goal for this was to outline it almost like it was a coloring book in a sense, and I feel like I achieve that kind of idea. I use different size Prismacolor inking pens because even though you can apply more or less pressure to a pen to create a thicker or thinner line, I like having the variety of sizes of markers. That way I don't really have to depend on the pen pressure as much as you would if you only had one size. Of course, you can always, just go back over your lines and thicken them up with whatever size marker or pen you want. But it's nice to just have different variations. That way, like, you can do all of the outside outlines with one size, which in this drawing, for all of the thick outlines, I'm using the number 8. For like the thicker size ones, I'm using the 5. For the medium ones, I'm using the 3, and then for the smallest size, I'm using a 1. I have a brush type pen, and I also have a .05, which is very, very skinny, but honestly, when it comes to drawings like this, it's not really good for these generic details. I feel like that size pen is actually better if you're doing very, very, very fine details like wrinkles or hatching or, different textures. I feel like that's when the really small pens come in handy, when you're in small spaces and you need very fine detail. But everything I'm creating right here doesn't really require that so much. You might notice a lot of jump cuts. That is because for some reason, and I don't know if this is every artist, but at least for me, I do this thing where I'm holding a pen, and instead of like touching the paper immediately, I do this like wiggle wobble thing, and I guess it's so that I can like grip the pen like firmly, confidently, and like put the ink down on the paper like without hesitation. And I was also looking at the actual website as I was inking this, because despite having it drawn on my paper, there were different like details to the drawing that I wanted to incorporate over top of my actual pencil drawing. And I mess up here because the little hand isn't supposed to be separated from the outer border of the apple. It's actually supposed to be one seamless connection, but I jumped the gun and got ahead of myself and stopped looking at my reference for a little bit. So I kind of had to improvise. I haven't colored it yet, so I'm trying to decide if I just want to leave it as is and just color it how I was planning on it, or if I want to try and use a gel pen to kind of simulate that there was never a black line there in the first place. We'll see what happens. But I have a lot of jump cuts in this video because of the little hand thing I do. And due to referring to the website, there was a lot of breaks in between different portions of the video. And you guys are busy. You don't have all day to just sit here and watch me doodle. So I wanted to try and shorten this video up as much as I could. Later on in the video, I actually, for some reason, I stopped looking at my viewfinder, and the drawing ended up going out of the frame a little bit. Like, you could see the part of the apple that I had already outlined, but the part that I was working on, like, you couldn't even see. So I cut that footage out just so that you're not sitting there staring at a blank page of nothing other than, oh look, a drawing, how great. But I like it so far. It's so weird being in the moment of drawing, and it's a great experience to just draw, right? But it's a whole other level of experience when you are recording yourself drawing, and the whole time you're drawing, even though you're in the room alone with yourself and it's just a camera, there's this added pressure and nervousness because you know that people are going to be watching you draw and color and criticize and witness every idea and decision and like every single aspect of the creative process is literally going to be out there in public display. You know, when you go to an art gallery or if you see something on the internet that you really like and you're like, oh, that piece of artwork's amazing, you see the finished product, but you didn't see the process that the artist went through, what flaws are there, you know, what kind of obstacles they encountered, what they like, what they didn't like. Unless, of course, they captured the process and recorded it or documented it in some way. And so when you're watching yourself go over something that you drew, while you're making it in person, you notice the flaws right away and you try and compensate for them or try and figure out how to make it translate as if it were part of the initial process. And then as you're watching the video in its finished form, you notice more things like, oh, I should have done this, or oh, why did I do this, or next time I'm gonna do this. And that's why I think it's really important to document yourself when you're working on something, because you can refer back to it and learn from your mistakes. You can gain inspiration from other artists who also document their progress. It allows you to grow and understand things. It's kind of like a second opinion in a way. Like, even though it's still you, you're getting a second opinion from your future self looking at your past self. And this is getting so deep, but it's a good experience. It's nerve-wracking, and it could be a little embarrassing if you're not confident in yourself or with your work. I mean, I'm pretty confident with myself, but I understand I also make a lot of mistakes, and that's part of the process. Your favorite artists, even the most well-known artists, aren't perfect. They struggle through their own personal issues and emotions. They've got their own skeletons in the closet. And, you know, part of the process is just accepting your flaws and growing from them. And I think the biggest lesson to learn in terms of art is to never give up and constantly practice, and don't be afraid to try new things, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. And if you make a mistake, don't trash your art. Build upon it. Improve it. Keep going with it. Like, this isn't, like, even though I see many mistakes with this, I'm gonna color it and I'm gonna be proud of it because it's something I made, and the way I see it is it can only go uphill from here. Because I've started the apple and I've noticed some of the mistakes I'm making, now when I do the egg chick and the ice cream dream, perhaps those will turn out better because I'm already familiar with this style that I've just, took on, and what worked and what didn't work and what mistakes I've made and what I did like. And I can build upon that into my future pieces. And so these great artists that you see, that you aspire to be like, they started at the bottom where you are, where I am. And through time and persistence and the whole shebang, where they are now is all of that dedication, hard work, and practice, and learning from their mistakes that they've been doing. And it's really important to find a balance. Like, always challenge yourself with new things and things that make you nervous and uncomfortable, but also, take the time to, find things in your comfort zone to enjoy and try and mold them into one. So take elements of things that you really like in your current style and try and add in something new and see how it turns out. If it turns out great, awesome, continue doing that and then build upon it even more. And if you don't like it and it doesn't work out, find something different. Maybe take a little break from it. I think it's actually really important to take breaks from your work. If you step back for a minute and you kind of look at things and plan them out, I feel like it can actually save your art more than if you just did everything in like one quick go. I know with the anticipation of uploading this to the internet and the thought of people will be watching it, it's very exciting. So it kind of like makes you want to go faster so you can get it done faster, so you can get it up there faster. But it actually hurts the piece because you're not focused on the piece anymore. You're focused on the outcome of putting the piece out on the internet. And that's something I thought about while I was working on this. So I really wanted to slow down and take my time. And I feel like looking at it now, like I can see that maybe I should have taken even more time. I feel like maybe I even rushed it more than I should have. But this is what it looks like, and I absolutely love it. And if you would like to watch me color it, you'll be able to see that video up here. And I can't wait to show it to you guys. And I'll be doing more videos of the future Shopkins. So thank you so much, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!